Really?
In August.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening. Today is Wednesday, June 15th, 2011, and this is a regular meeting of the Brownsville Navigation District, and the time is 5:36. If everyone please rise. Reverend, if you lead us in the invocation.
Dear Father, it's such a privilege to come and stand before you tonight to give glory and honor to your name. And to begin this meeting with you, recognizing that all things that we do are in your presence. We thank you for giving your Son to deliver us from our sins, and we thank you, Lord, for caring what happens here tonight, for directing our hearts and our thoughts. Thank you for being with the families who work here, for the staff, for all who do business at this place. Thank you for blessing this port and increasing it. In Jesus' name, we thank you.
Amen. If you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, Donna. Audience, nobody?
Public audience? No, nobody signed up?
Well, if we can, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, before we go to the monthly operations report, at the last meeting, Mr. Chairman, you had asked if we could invite our interns that are spending time with us this summer so we could introduce them and recognize them. At this time, I'd like to call on Mr. Manny Chacon to go ahead and make those introductions. Sure.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Campinano, Ms. Emar, good afternoon. It is my pleasure to come before you this evening and introduce to you the best interns in South Texas.
All right. And that's after only 1 week.
Yeah.
Wait till 10 weeks, man.
The BND was fortunate enough to receive a number of exceptional candidates for our internship positions this summer, and I'm happy to report this evening that we have recruited the best of the best. So, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce in alphabetical order, starting here from your left, working our way to the right. Ms. Gloria Gonzalez, she is offering her support in human resources. She is tackling 3 major projects in our department and will have them completed by the end of July. She is pursuing an associate's degree in applied science. Then we have Mr. Anthony Guerra. He is offering his support in the engineering department. He is currently tackling tasks both in and outside of the office. He is pursuing a bachelor's degree in computer science. Then we have Mr. Albert Basaman. He is offering his support in finance and administration. He is undertaking a major project for finance and will have it completed by the end of July. He is pursuing an associate's degree in applied science. Then we have Francisco Rodriguez, whom is also offering his support in the engineering department. He too is tackling tasks both inside and outside of the office. He is currently pursuing a bachelor's degree in international business and accounting. And last but not least, we have Ms. Stephanie Ruiz, who is offering her support in the Harbor Master's office. She is learning all components of the daily operation. She has a bachelor's degree in bilingual education, and she'll be pursuing a master's degree in public policy and management this fall. And without further ado, I give you your 2011 BND summer interns.
Super. Look at the camera real quick. This is a lineup. So, no, yeah, that's great. We're real proud of y'all. Thank y'all for wanting to come work for us for the summer. And I hope y'all really learn a lot. And whatever you learn from working here, I hope you take it with you elsewhere or come back and work for us full time. And so, Commissioners, do you have anything else?
I applaud you guys.
Yeah. Again, thanks
Nice to
for
see everybody here.
yeah. Again, thanks for coming aboard. Okay.
Congratulations. Thank you, Mr. Chacon.
Thank you.
Okay. Item number 3, received director's report. Received monthly port operations summary.
Well, as you can see, this year is much better than it was last year. The net income is $1,170,000, as opposed to last year it was about $317,000. If you turn to page 4, you see that does reflect what our waterborne cargo is doing as well. We're 2.178 million tons so far. as opposed to last year, this year, at this point, we're about 1.5 million tons. We are actually on track to do about what we did last year, and it looks like we're doing very well. This year, this month looks like it's very busy, and quite a few ships in import.
Do you have any idea what the end of this month's going to look like? I mean, halfway through it?
It's been real busy. Seen the numbers of things. It's been busy here, a couple slab ships.
For the month of June?
June.
That's fantastic.
Stevedore's been telling me they've been working 24 hours a day, so they're really humping it.
Oh, is that a record for a certain customer? It is, right, for Ternium?
In 1 month?
In
Yeah,
1 month.
1 month. Yeah.
Volume-wise, not a record.
Yeah.
I don't believe, but,
Great improvement.
yeah, well, I mean, like you said, what a difference a year makes, just looking at the year-to-date revenues from last year, previous period to the current period. And the impact of that, if you will look on page 3, I do want to note that under the Doc 16, the BND account, in May 5th, we started making the $50,000 a week contribution. This will be the 7th week that we've done that, so in those 7 weeks, that's the $325,000. So we'll continue to do that, and so that's good news.
What had we drawn that account down to?
It was about 6.4, 6.2. We've gone down.
Okay.
So we're back on
Yeah,
track.
we spent like $3 million, $3.5 million of it or something like that. But, that's a good sign. So we're back on track, and we'll continue to do that until, such time something else changes. But that's a good sign for us.
All of our other indicators are doing well. Our workers have satisfied, which is real strong.
Looks good.
Any questions? Oh, I'm fine.
That's great news.
Okay. Thank you, Dip.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Chavez with the operations report for the month of May.
Oh, what happened?
Here, John, just move your
Mr. Chairman, Board Commissioners, there's, as has already been informed, been a lot of activity at the port. In fact, the first thing that I'm going to report to you is just an update on where we are with the deepening and widening study. There's not been a lot of major steps yet, but one of the main things that we achieved this month was that we finally got the schedule to work. But the couple of things that I did want to mention to you really quickly was that the shoreline wave impact analysis, we finally got comments. We responded to the comments. They gave us back some additional minor comments. So by the end of this week, we will have that shoreline wave impact analysis completed. The rig geometric study, the rig movement geometric study that was done had been completed several months ago. Last month we got a comment that they wanted to make a minor wording change in the report, so that is being done and completed as well. The employment benefits analysis for the, to include the benefits of employment into the study was scheduled actually to be completed on the 15th, but due to some delays in getting some information from the lessee, the consultant is now telling us that they will complete everything by June 22nd, which is when they will submit their final draft to us, and then we would work on getting that to the Corps immediately as soon as possible thereafter, so that the Corps can also provide their comments, and then we can get that finalized. And I've already informed to you a couple of months that we're pushing the Corps to initiate the environmental impact statement study. There was even some possibility of us doing some of the funding, but this has to be done with federal dollars according to them, so it's still in their hands, but they were getting ready to initiate that within the month of June, so hopefully by the next time that I report to you, we'll have that already underway. One of the things that we wanted to mention in conjunction with the finance report a minute ago is the steel slab that has been placed on port patios. Patio 15 here, as you can see, is already pretty much full with steel slab. 15 South is also been filled with slab, and then here we have on patio 20, we have slab coming in, and this is one of the heavy activities that we're having here at the port. Here you see just a little bit of the activity with the forklift lifting it out of the trucks. The first construction project that we had already reported to you that shed 1 was completed. Now we report to you that shed 14, the repairs have been completed here. This is shot up in the area. This is the area of the repairs. All these that you can see. That's of course our maintenance director, right there inspecting together. And this is another shot. Here you can see the new gutters that were installed. This is along the south side next to the rail. And this is a close-up of the new gutter there. And here's the gutter on the north side. And that's basically that's a ship that was docked over there on dock number 3. The day of the pictures. Another project is this is a project being done in-house, the Mervis drainage project. We had a situation here where they had a ditch that was ponding here that was not draining properly, so we opened up a connection to a ditch. This ditch needed to be deepened, which is basically this ditch. Here's what I just showed you right now, and the water flows in this direction, which is basically southeasterly. Into this inlet. We originally, the ideal situation would have been to put a ditch all the way across here, but because there's rail here and BRG contemplated or is contemplating putting another rail spur in this area, we couldn't leave a ditch, so we had to use a pipe, and it's crossed under here with a pipe. This is the inlet on basically the northwest side of 48. This is the outlet on the southeast side of 48, and this is the ditch that basically leads into the main drain right here. This is now looking south, and this is the main drain. Here's the port area right now, and this is something that is being done in-house. Right now, we're waiting for a structure that's going to go right at this location, and this area is going to be filled. This ditch is not going to be there anymore. We're going to have an inlet here that is going to drain into this pipe, which is also going to be lowered and then discharging into the main drain, which is this big ditch right here. Another project that we are working on with in-house forces is site clearing and grubbing in different areas. One of the first areas that I'm going to show you is this area right here next to Highway 48. Our maintenance crews have been clearing this area. Basically have just 4 shots that show you the whole panoramic of the area that has been cleared. And then there's 2 other areas on the south side of the ship channel, east of Bay Bridge. This is the Bay Bridge lease. And there's an area here that was all full of brush, and the same right here. These 2 areas are next to Bay Bridge. And basically these are just shots of the area cleared. Here, this is on the east side of Bay Bridge. And here is looking back down towards the ship channel, and this is back towards Hostos Road. This is basically the southeast area of that area, and then here's the other area, which is west of Bay Bridge, and here is our maintainer, our own port maintainer, working to create that area there. That's the whole area. Actually, at this time, there was a ship coming in, so we got a shot of that ship entering the port as well. Here's a quick view of our, let me go back there. I hope I didn't mess that up. Of our maintainer doing its work. I shut off the sound. All you would have heard was wind.
Ariel, when you finish that, could you go back to the map that shows those 2 sites that we're working on?
Ariel, on Highway 48, is that our crews doing that, or is that the state crew doing that?
Well, I'm going to show you another area where the state is working. The one that I showed you was done by our crew. The state is working a little bit further east.
They're getting rid of the ramps and all that
Right,
stuff.
okay.
What's this guy's name, Mr. Garza?
Alan
there you go.
Garcia.
Alan Garcia is the one that's operating the maintainer. And then if you look at it, that the ship is right there. It's moving a little bit. That ship is coming into the port. Now, you want me to go back to the map? Let me go back to the map.
The point I wanted to make there is that if you see the Rio Grande shredding, and then you see that other piece right there, that's the Fortune Ferris site currently under negotiation. This site here, you have Bay Bridge, and then you have this other site. Those two sites are the only two sites that are left directly on the water of any significance,
That have utilities.
that have all services in place. So we really don't have any more, and that's why when we talk about, you know, the kind of tenants that's interested and what can they do, we really need to be selective because we just simply don't have that much land left. Anything beyond that is going to require, whether it's on the south side or on the north side to the east, is going to require utility extensions and infrastructure expansion. But that's it. I mean, everything else is either under lease, we still have across the bay there a little bit of the right of first refusal, and everything else is under lease. So we're down to, you know, just a couple of spots left of land available for anyone to do anything with, and from there we would be, the turning basin would be completely used up on the waterfront.
How big are those two tracts?
This one is approximately 35 acres. This one is about
I think it goes to something
50,
like
60.
more like 60. And as you can see, the further east you go, the more challenges you have with potential remediation too,
Right.
and mitigation for environmental impacts. So we're doing okay.
Getting close.
Yeah.
So basically those are the sites.
All these are in preparation, they're just, so we have them available to
Yeah.
show.
To show.
To show.
We think they'll show better
Yeah, they
that
show
way.
better
Right.
like that, yeah.
Absolutely.
So anyway, this one we will skip now. Another issue, we've been doing some repairs to some areas where we had problems with the fence. This is an area on Windhouse Road. And basically on this one, most of the repairs were on the barbed wire at the top. As you can see, this is a close-up of that. There's another section here on where Milo and 511 used to intersect. This is the area where the gate is a little bit east from here. But there's a lot more areas that, at the request of the Chief of Police, we didn't show you for security purposes, of course. But there's a lot more areas that are being worked on and are being resolved.
Now, is that part of the fencing that we've applied in the
No,
grant? or
No,
is
this is just repairs.
Yeah,
The other,
fancy you may reply.
in fact, the other grant has been applied for. Some of the documents were being finalized today. I don't know when the deadline is,
The
Donna.
20th, but we got everything in.
Yeah, everything was done today, so. This is our crews at an undisclosed location, finishing the repairs. We're gonna, but we're continuing the work in the areas where it's needed, so. Another project is, of course, the new Cement Center. You've got an item on the agenda today that we're going to talk about it when the time comes, but basically, this is some of the work that has already been completed, some of the form work. Here we encountered an issue where there was no reinforcing on the walls. Here we tried to check on every, selected one wall, which was the northern wall, and checked every one to make sure whether there was any of the reinforcement that is needed, and none of the columns showed reinforcement. Here you can see the measuring tape coming in. And
So what you're saying is when we had the ribbon cutting and groundbreaking, look, it didn't fall on us, right?
something like that.
As windy as it was.
Now, in addition, we
did go through a couple of hurricanes.
More than a couple.
Now, we also had our own crews. Well, this is the new area that is being added on the northeastern corner
That would
of
be
the
the
Cement
tower
Center.
site?
This is the steel reinforcing going up. Here we have some of our field crews working on the area up at the top of the pole, because we're cutting that service and putting it underground. There was an accident with one of the meters there, with the contractor hitting, one of the subcontractors hitting one of the existing meters there and knocking it down. So what we did is our crews went ahead and cut everything off there. Here actually my lettering got in the way of the guy, but the guy's right there. And basically that's part of the work that we have on the Cement Center. On the connector road, basically it's completed here. We took our bucket truck and tried to get some shots from up in the air so we could get a full perspective of the whole project. As you can see, this is the concrete area north of Old Highway 48. This is sort of like a close-up, if you will. Those barriers are where the new entrance gate will be. That's where this is where the new
And that
guard
would
shack will
it'll be a canopy.
and the new canopy will be located at that location, at that site. Here's a look back into the port towards the south on the asphalt portion of the road south of Old 48. This is the main rail where they're going to be doing the automatic switching, and this is the rail spur that is there. And this shot is from the Faust intersection with the Garva spur crossing right across the area right there. So this is basically completed. We're waiting for the county to issue their partial acceptance on the portion here to the south, but we're, that's why we still have it blocked off right now. But, we do have a couple of tenants that do use this to go in because that's their only access. But, we're pushing the county to try to get that released to us. Another project, on the internal roads project, I didn't bring any new shots. I'm just going to show you the map and mention to you, or basically report that we have an area right here on East Old Dock Road that we had problems with, and initially the contractor was trying to get some additional compensation, but when the state actually went and checked, they found that there was a problem with the way that they had placed the base. There was not enough base in some of those areas. So they asked the contractor to core it. And in fact, yes, some of the thickness that was supposed to be there, both of hot mix and base, was not there, so now they have to address that. And that's basically where we're at with that, and as soon as we get that finalized, then we'll be ready to close out the project. I didn't want to close it out leaving that pending, because that's obviously, it needs to be completed and it needs to be in good shape before we actually close it out.
Absolutely. So all the driveways are done?
All the driveways are done. Everything else is done. It's just the remedial part on the problem areas that they have to finish. Another project that we're working on with a consultant from Houston is the Faust-Milo intersection. If you, of course, everybody's aware of the strange angle at which Milo hits Faust over here. Here's a look of the area. That's an area that has been of concern for a while, and we are working with a consultant who actually developed several models and looked at several options. Initially, he presented to us a redesign of the intersection using the existing pavement the way it was. But on the second iteration, he actually presented to us a new design where Faust Road would come in and turn and hit Milo at an angle. This is the result of actually traffic counts that were done through our cameras, through our own surveillance system. And basically what he did is he's showing us the movement on a proposed condition. Then this is the PM simulation, where the trucks would move a little more fluidly here. This would be like a through movement from Faust, and then most of the trucks that come out on Milo actually come from here. So
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Why don't they just go straight rather than come around?
Right, come around and make that move.
So I'm sorry.
No, go back. How come they can't go straight? Up at the very top, they're coming down and then going around?
Because of the
Unfast.
angle on
Well-
which the oncoming traffic is. One of the things that we need to do with this is still kind of perception. We're going to need to have a workshop on this to actually look at all of the proposals. They're coming back to kind of look at some additional comments and questions. I also think when we're ready, we're going to need to kind of get all the stakeholders involved that are in it, because this is a major intersection.
Sure.
And it's going to affect various folks, and we want to make sure that we get a lot of input
Even
on
in
that.
there, it looks like they're going to wreck just there.
Well, and so we had some questions on what's come up even with that design. So when they have a chance to kind of answer those questions, my plan is to I think we need to have a workshop on this, and then also kind of go out into the port with the users and say, okay, there may be some things that we're not catching. Commissioner Lopez, I mean, you may see some things that, or your drivers may see some things that we're not doing, but when we're ready to have the consultant kind of present all the options, we really need to sit down and look at this. One of the other kind of issues, that the other proposal that had originally come was a lot further south on the connecting the two roads, and the problem we have with that is that if you look at that Y with the railroad, that begins to impact that operation. So, there's a lot of moving parts. We've got rail, we've got the vehicular traffic, and so we really need to take a look at that. Also, we need to work with the owner of this business on the scale and reconfigure that. So, there's a lot of moving pieces to this.
Right now, when you come down Milo onto Foster to make a left-hand turn and go out of the port, that intersection there is hard to see the oncoming traffic.
Well, that's the blind spot for the traffic, and that's kind of one of the reasons you kind of see that reconfiguration. And it's just one of the issues, but we're going to need to do, I think, quite a bit of work on getting it vetted before we decide what ultimately is the best thing to do there.
And of course, as Mr. Campirano said, this is basically a preliminary model. There would be some signalization, like stop signs either here, well, for sure here, and highly likely in this area.
That's the deal, is that
So all
he's
of that
not
has to be-
proposing that. Those are all the things that we need to talk about.
There's gotta be one over here with that blue thing, because that blue car keeps stopping right
Well,
there.
but
There's
no,
something
that's the
there.
gate.
No, there's
Oh, that's the
other.
gate.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
a
gate there.
That's a gate, except
So-
it's not shown here.
Yeah,
It's
so I mean,
secondary.
there's, we just need to sit and talk about it and look at everything, and at this point, it's not complete. The other thing too is that, remember our plans for the command control center have a road to the back, so we need to look at where that would be and how that would impact it, and so that we still got more work to do on this. Okay.
Because you're going to have, this is the command center here, right? Because you're going to have a road from here back there.
Somewhere's, somewhere's in there. So we'll look at that.
The last project that I'm going to show you is just an update of where we are with 550. Of course, 550, the area that we're looking at is the area right here that affects the port and back up into 3248. Here, this is a look at the main lanes looking towards 3248. This is a look back towards the port of the main lanes. As you can see, a lot of the area has already been surfaced with limestone, and so that's, that work keeps progressing. Here, this is the old Port Isabel overpass. Last time I showed you, they only had the columns. Now they have the beams up on top. Here, this is the 3248 overpass. Last time we looked at it, they had only finished this. Now they've pretty much completed the down part of the, or what I would say the northwest part of that overpass. This is the Palo Alto main rail overpass. Here I'm standing on the rail looking back south, and both these structures are already in place. This is another look of those structures. Here's a look of the area where the Rancho Viejo floodway is being crossed by 550. This is obviously the floodway. This is the area that they're filling in. There's going to be some culverts in place there, and then this is a look upstream on the floodway. This is the area where they're working on grading for the ramps coming off of 48. Of course, 48 is going to have an overpass over 550. 550 is going to be at grade, and 48 is going to be over it. So this is the area where the state is regrading to set up the ramps where they would be coming into the port. This is a ridge coming in to our port. This is our 550 connector. And that's basically it. This is a shot courtesy of whom, George?
One of Tommy's workers, Juan Martinez, this is right in front of Gulf Street. Last week, some geese.
They're not geese, George.
Well, they said they were geese.
They're
No.
wood ducks.
What is it?
Those are ducks.
Wood ducks, whistling ducks. Yeah, them all over my yard.
Yeah.
They're good eating them.
Five people said geese.
That is it.
They're not.
Thank you very much.
Geeses.
If there's any
There
questions.
won't be no geeses here.
Yeah. They're gooses.
Gooses?
Geeses. Oh, they're gonna need this.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna need that.
We have to go back.
Yeah. Beautification Committee presentation.
Okay, item number 5, presentation by the Brownsville Beautification Committee regarding the placement of a welcome sign on Brownsville Navigation District property.
We're up to item 4.
Well,
They wanted it out of order.
well, I kind of going to say we can take that out of order because we are going to need the overhead. What I'd like to do, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission, we have representatives of the committee, Cynthia Galvan, who is the chairman of the Brownsville Beautification Committee, and also, I guess, her team, Scott Pajeski, are here. If you recall, this is a discussion we've had sometime last year. Commissioner Cowan was contacted about the possibility of looking at a welcome sign somewhere on 48. And so that started a dialogue last year, and I'm going to say last year, kind of qualify fiscal year for the Beautification Committee. Since their funding comes from the city of Brownsville, we're trying to accomplish something before the end of the fiscal year. Weren't able to do that, so we've kind of restarted that whole discussion again, looking at possible site on Highway 48. I can tell you that we've met with the Beautification Committee. We looked at multiple locations. I believe that they have settled one that they believe will work. The other issue from the previous, from the very first time this came to us, you may recall that the sign was like a 3D dimensional sign that was a billboard that was made to look like somewhat of a welcome sign with the City Hall, old City Hall type deal. We had talked about and kind of had expressed some concerns that we had thought it was going to be more like a monument sign, the one that is off of the expressway. So, taking all of these discussions into play, the committee has gone back and I guess come up to this point, and not to diminish any of the presentation or the unveiling, I guess I should say. Let me go ahead and just simply turn it over to Mrs. Galvan and let her proceed. So.
Hi, well, thank you. Like Mr. Campirano said, we kind of gone back and forth and met with the city officials and also with the Brownsville Beautification Committee, and we have a new proposal to present to you guys, and we hope that it is acceptable. We, as a beautification committee, we've really been charged to beautify the entryways to the city of Brownsville. The Welcome to Brownsville signs, this is going to be the third one that the city beautification committee installs. The first one that we did was the Welcome to Historic Brownsville sign on by Los Ebanos, and that was in partnership with Leadership Brownsville. And the second sign that we most recently did was on International Boulevard at the Gateway Bridge, and we did that in partnership with Cameron County and with the university. So as you can see, those big monument type signs we have to do in partnership because the city of Brownsville only allocates a certain amount of funds to us, and the first proposal that we came to, that we brought before you guys was one that we could afford to construct, and in discussions, it was decided that we present something else to you guys. And so what I'd like to do now is to have our landscape architect come up and really give you the details on this sign that we'd like to work, partner with you guys.
Yeah, that was kind of a...
Good evening, and congratulations on your anniversary. So the timing actually is pretty good for this, isn't it? It's an anniversary year, and well, as Cynthia mentioned and Mr. Campirano mentioned, we have taken, I think, as far as the committee, I think we've had a group out here, I believe, on 3 occasions, looking at some different sites. What you have in front of you now is a site that we looked at with Mr. Campirano and some of your staff, and determined that of all the potential sites, this one had more positives than negatives. Pretty much all the sites had some positives and some negatives. This one seems to fit the bill better than the others. It's a piece of land right there next to U-Pull-It. You see U-Pull-It there on the left-hand side. We do have utilities there, of course. We've got electric, we've got power, which we'll need, for lighting and for irrigation. a pretty good location as far as, where it is in proximity, I think, to the port and port facilities and so forth. We're pleased with that. We had looked at some sites further towards Brownsville, closer to like 550. In fact, one of the first sites we looked at was, and ended up being almost right there where the 550 overpass or underpass will be. So obviously that wouldn't work. But this one, I think, works pretty well. Everyone is pleased. You'll see in some of these other images how it could potentially look. If we go on to the next slide, this is now a sketch that we've prepared. One of the things that Mr. Campidano mentioned was the idea that we would stay within kind of more of the architectural context of the Spanish colonial, more historic style, which we do a lot of that. In fact, a lot of the work the committee does when we do have signage, we do try to reflect the Spanish colonial.
And just one comment to that, if you look at that kind of style is also reflective of the Harbor Master's office, both the original and the new one. So, that shape is something that is kind of in keeping with what we do have here at the port.
And that was discussed. In fact, the old historic Brownsville Museum, which if you look at the facade of that, this is really comes right from that vernacular of architecture. So it's I think it's
I like the symmetry.
Yeah, I think it works well. And I mean, we've even some of the sign that we did, the historic Welcome to Historic Brownsville sign, has some of this character as well. So as you can see right now, conceptually, it's fairly large. You can see on the left-hand side, that's a person standing there. So you can see it's pretty massive. A couple of reasons for that. One is if you go back to the previous slide, you can see that we're going to set this thing out of state right-of-way. State right-of-way goes in quite a ways. And so I'm not exactly sure of that dimension, but I'm guessing it's about 40 feet off of the roadway. So we need something of fairly significant size due to that location. And you can move forward again. Okay, now on to the next one. This just has a couple of dimensions on it, just the beginnings of kind of of a detail plan. But you can see we're over 13 feet in height to the top of the arch, and the main body of the sign is over 6 feet, 6'5". This is a little bit larger than the wall structure that we have there at Los Ebanos in Brownsville, the historic Brownsville sign, but the height actually is a little lower because the sign that we did for coming in down the expressway, it has a wall that's a little bit lower, but then we have like a sandblasted sign that sticks up actually about, I think it's like 14 or 15 feet. So it's a little taller, but it's a little different character. This being a pure monument sign, we needed to make it a little bit bigger so that we could get the lettering and the logos large enough to make an impact as you're driving by. If you go on to the next one, this is what we call a simulation. This is just a kind of a quick sketch. We took this photo when we were out there on the site with Mr. Campirano, and then we've basically rendered that image and placed it in there just to get an idea of how that would look as you're coming down the road. So this really gives you, now kind of shows you that we need something of significant scale in order to make an impact, on people coming in. So obviously that would be a day view, and then our thoughts would be to provide nice lighting at night. So I think at night it would probably have even more impact because there's not a lot of lighting in this area. So you can imagine if that was well lit at night, it would really stand out nicely for people coming in from the island or Port Isabel. So that's just a quick simulation, and I think the next slide is just a combination of all four of those, and you have those in your packet. So one of the things that Cynthia mentioned is that initially the initial proposal that we had worked on, we were trying to fit within the budget that we had allocated from the city, which is about 30,000, a little over 30,000. And so right now, just based on some of the signs that, like the Welcome to Brownsville sign, the Welcome to Historic Brownsville sign, that one was done, about 7 or 8 years ago, I guess. About 8 years ago, and that one was in the mid-40s. It was, I think, 45,000 or something. So obviously that, we've got cost increases in those 8 years. Plus, like I mentioned, this is a little bit more massive. So right now we're, rough estimate, we're thinking somewhere in the probably 60 to 65,000 range to build a sign of this scale with lighting, with some landscaping, irrigation, the whole 9 yards. Obviously, we're going to have a fairly well-engineered footing for a size of this sign. So, that's one of the factors that we won't know until we actually get some engineering done on the foundation. Hopefully, we're not in quicksand or anything like that to where we've got to do piers or something like that. I don't think we will, but those are just some of the things that we'll have to work out in the detail design.
Are some, Scott, excuse me, are some of your costs associated, or estimate cost, engineering cost in there?
Right now, we're basically hoping that 60 to 65 is assuming that we can do slab on grade, a spread footing, a more of a traditional spread footing. If we're going to have to do piers, that cost is going to go up.
Well, I guess my question is who does that for you, or can we have our port engineer staff do it?
Yeah, absolutely. That would be great. We have not engaged anybody to do any structural or engineering on it yet. So that would be super if Adiel or some of the folks here could help. Yeah.
One of the things that I was thinking about was that to give maximum visibility to it, if the soil is good there, we have access at the port to lots of dirt. So if we could do a berm to put this on top of, that might be to give you where you could see it, it would stand out better, and I don't know what your thoughts are.
I agree. We're actually, that image, it's not really clear, but believe it or not, we have there. So you can see we actually have done that. If you, can you see a little bit? We've actually shown it like about 2 or 3 feet above, 2 or 3 feet above grade. And that's for, of course, the visibility, drainage. We don't want it to be sitting in, in a low area where we're going to have floodwaters or, in there. Also, the one thing is we got to be a little careful of is if we raise it too much, then we probably will need piers.
Pilings.
Because we need to get some concrete into existing grade, for structural integrity. So, because we can't set that slab on all, brought in fill. So if we stay in that 3-foot range, we can have a big spread footing that's maybe 36 or 42 inches in depth, so that we're down into the existing grade, which is important. So,
like I said, I was just, so you've already figured that in. So I'm
I'm trying to think. We've done. Oh, I know when we were looking, we're also looking at probably next year doing one on the north side of town. North side of Brownsville off of 7783, and we've been looking at doing that one on a raised berm as well for visibility. So that's a definitely
sounds like you've thought of everything.
Well, actually, we've been working on this for a couple of years. So,
Scott, can you explain how the maintenance of the area works, and also if it were to get graffitied, is it of a material that can just be washed off, or?
Well, right now, we haven't gotten to, the detail level of what the actual finish is going to be. I was kind of thinking it would be, CMU block with, probably an elastomeric kind of stucco, EFIS kind of stucco material, which, it's not a totally graffiti resistant. It does, that EFIS is good as far as it's like a plasticky material. You can spray a cleaner on there and wash it off, but it's definitely a good point. We probably want to go with something that is fairly smooth to where we can remove graffiti more easily.
And how do you maintain the landscape? I'm assuming you all do that, or the city of Brownsville does that?
We would be open for however, if that would be part of the negotiation on how we partner on this thing, we'd be open for that. Just recently, one of our most recent projects is right there at the corner of Palm Boulevard and Boca Chica. We just improved that little corner there, and a local business, El Pollo Loco, came to the table and said, hey, we're so happy you guys did this, we're going to maintain it for you. So we actually even gave them some recognition on the sign that says, this project being maintained by a local business. So, we'd be open for...
I thought there was a little pollo on the right-hand side of mine.
So basically, every deal you do is flipped, negotiated.
We do have, Public Works has what they call the Green Division, which is the wing of Public Works that does kind of the landscape maintenance. We do have a crew that we now have, I think, 33 or 34 projects that they maintain. They're spread pretty thin. Of course, as part of the negotiation with you guys, if we need to, have them maintain this, of course, we'll put it on their list. But I mean, if you guys have maintenance folks, and that could, we could work that into our kind of our negotiation, that would be great, because it is a little ways out here for them to come out. So
We have a series of questions that we've talked about that kind of form the basis of sitting down and working out an agreement. That's just one of them, the ongoing maintenance.
Well,
I've got a question. How would the lighting, or have you looked at the lighting, how that would look at night?
the lighting that we did at one of the existing signs, actually both of the signs that we've done that Cynthia mentioned, we did elevated sign lights. They're the elongated HID sign lights. They work really well. They're fairly low wattage, but because they're elongated, they spread a nice, even distribution of light across the sign. They're not terribly expensive. Of course, we make sure that we would use like an aluminum or non-corrosive type fixture for sure, out in these conditions. Even the one we did at the Gateway Bridge, that's a sign light as well. That's a shorter one. That's only, I think, a 4-foot one. But obviously on something like this, we would probably do like 2 8-foot sign lights.
And that's real critical on the, the environment out here is extremely corrosive, a lot of salt, a lot of mist. And so that's real critical to look at. And if you talk to PUB and ask them where they have the most difficult area of maintaining their electrical system, it's going to be out here at the port in this area. Same thing goes when you look at irrigation, probably a drip irrigation system, because you're going to have to contend with wind, and it kind of keeps everything from blowing everywhere. But I mean, those are just the things that go into having to look at the area.
Landscape-wise, too, as far as the maintenance go, you can see what's there. We're trying to keep it, somewhat low maintenance. I mean, we're looking at going with like some native palms. I mean, what we're showing right there are Texas sabal palms, or there are native palms. We may even be able to get some sabals from the city. The beautification committee recently worked a deal at some work that was going on at Hope Park, Alice Wilson Hope Park, where they're building the border fence, and we worked out a deal where they actually swapped out some trees that they removed. We got in exchange, and so we actually have some nice big tall sable palms at the city's nursery. So there's some things like that we may be able to get installed by the city to help save on cost.
That tree spray's the
Yes.
best thing the city's ever done.
It is. There's 3 of them now. They have 3 of them now, so it's great.
And, and we might be able to locate some sables on port property that we could, with their spade, could be relocated to a site as well. So.
And then right now we're showing some colorful, bougainvillea on there, but I mean, whether or not we actually use, we'll probably use something that's a lot tougher and more tolerant.
No black mangrove. No seagrasses, none of that, okay?
Maybe some yuccas and...
No, sorry.
You could do more than 2 palm trees if you could find some around here that you could use in conjunction with that, and have like a little grove of palm trees.
Sure,
That would be really nice.
Yeah, it'd be more impact, because it's so, it's so open right there.
Yeah.
The more vertical we get.
And that sign is right in the face of the prevailing wind. I was going to say breeze, but we don't have a breeze, it seems like anymore. And the prevailing wind, and so, what you put there is going to have a tough time, being sustainable. So
the tree spade would be our best bet because it gets such a big root ball, you know, it's the least amount of shock for the tree.
So what do we need to do from here?
Well, I guess more than not, this isn't an action item, but unless indicated otherwise, then we would continue to work with the beautification committee and kind of address those issues that have already come up here and come up with something that we feel that, you know, could be presented for consideration, approval by the commission, as well as whatever other approvals they're going to need. Obviously, you know, we're concerned about, you know, the budget and things of that nature, but we need to sit down and kind of work out the details. And if, assuming that, you know, we're all in agreement, then we will proceed.
I think it's a worthwhile project to pursue. Carlos?
It looks good. I like it.
Martin?
It looks real good. It's a good idea.
Lito?
My only question would be, Mr. Campirano, if in the future we have a future tenant that might need some of that space, that we be able to move it on whatever tenant expense for them to move it. That would be my only concern.
Well, the other thought we had on that was that you essentially would carve out that corner, and whatever tenant would come in would have a sign on their northwest corner of their property line. So you can see it's away from what, you know, that used to be a tenant over there, and so there's already a drop there, but, you know, carve it out where we would simply take that out of what would be a potential lease.
Yeah.
Now, what we may want to work with a tenant is what they do to not to diminish what we think would be the sign, but whether they would have some element of screening and what. But I mean, that's something we would work with a tenant down the road. But we've kind of given that some thought. So,
Ralph? Yeah.
Where would the traffic light go? Would it be down over here by where it says 48?
No. That is all you pull it. The traffic light would be aligned. When we get into that discussion, it would be aligned with the entrance to Amphels, Keppel Amphels, and that's still a little bit further west. Because theirs is a little bit further, just a little bit further down.
A little bit further this way.
Yeah.
Right there with C-48 is, see where the cars
Yeah,
are?
it would be like here, right in there.
Okay.
And then Bullets is down a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, that answers that.
And that just as a note, that report had some errors that they needed to correct, so the final draft is still, I haven't seen it.
Okay. I know we're working on it. It's a work in progress, but I just wanted to make sure it wasn't going to be.
You know, to some degree, if you ultimately do have a traffic light there, it kind of forces people to slow down, and they're going to see the welcome to Brownsville sign.
We considered it. It came up in our discussions. That's a positive. That's a positive, because as you're coming down, if you see that light ahead, you know, they may even have like one of those warning lights, you know, back a ways. You know, people are going to start to slow, so that's great. Instead of them going 60, 65, they'll be hopefully going 40 or 45.
Well, great. I think it's a great project to be working on.
Well, Scott, thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, we're happy to be partnering with you. Yeah, it'd be a nice joint project to do. So we'll plan to maybe. How would you like us to come back, or
Just work with Eddie and Donna, whoever you've been working with, and when he's ready to bring something to the commission, he'll bring it before us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Keeping your chair warm.
6, man. Yeah, it's nice and warm. Hey, Ralph.
Okay.
What's your water?
Back to item number 4. Considering action on the following consent agenda items. Item A, approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting of June 1st, 2011. Item B, approval to authorize payments over $25,000. Item 1, Danny Ibata Construction, second progress payment for roof repair project for Shed 14 in the amount of $59,184. Item 2, Danny Ibata Construction, 10% retainage of the roof repair project for Shed 14 in the amount of $13,757.50. Item C, approval of the following leases. Item 1, Rifle Marine Supply, Inc., new lease. Item 2, Snodgrass, Inc., release. Item 3, Jonick Lopez International Transport, LLC, amendment.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Lopez has said he's abstaining from 4C3.
Okay,
You'll want to have a separate vote on that.
okay. B, is there anything that we need? Everything, everything's good? Okay. So I'm going to need a motion on A, B1, 2, and C1, 2.
So moved.
Okay, moved.
Second over, well.
Okay, moved and seconded.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, now on C3, I'm going to need a motion.
Motion. Second.
Okay, and we'll show Mr. Lopez as abstaining. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Item number 6, consideration and action to authorize the renewal of windstorm coverage with the Texas Windstorm Insurance Association with a premium of $216,370 and to authorize the payment of the premium.
Okay, our windstorm will renew on July 9th, and we've received our renewal for premium, and that is the $260,370. That is the same coverage that we've had last year. It's with the 1% deductible, and this does compare to the 2010, and the 2009 were $206,169. 2008 it was $228,182. So it's still a very good premium, and we're asking you to approve this. And the bill will be going very quickly, so we ask you to go ahead and please to pay us. We don't want this not to be.
Yes. Okay.
Given the time of the season we're in.
Yes.
I was, yes.
Okay.
Add, Mr.
It's been
Chairman.
moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Item number 7, consideration and action on assignments, negotiations, easements, subleases, and contracts in general. Item 1, Julio Gonzalez, 5 Lopez Brothers, Inc., Castellanos Corporation Authority to negotiate.
Chairman, Mr. Julio Gonzalez, Leslie Fishing Harbor, has informed us that when his lease expires this August 14, he is retiring and is planning to, at this time, is negotiating with 2 potential customers for the sale of his improvements at the Fishing Harbor. So we'd like to subdivide that site into 2 tracts and do 2 separate leases. One to Castellanos and the other one to 5 Lopez Brothers. So the staff is requesting authority to negotiate.
So this 300 foot will be 150
It'll be
each?
200 and 100.
Okay.
Who gets the 200?
Lopez, 5 Lopez Brothers.
Which is no relation. Let's just get it out there.
There'll be 3 Lopez brothers.
I got the family now.
Just out of curiosity, I mean, is there any standard size, a minimum standard size of what we would consider a lot at the fishing harbor? I mean, is 100 feet frontage
That's
acceptable?
Typical.
Because we have, as
Okay.
the lease amount is 50. We have a 50-footer along with the 100 foot.
Okay, that's,
So the new leases will be under the new lease rate?
yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Very
So moved.
moved. Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Item number 8, consideration and action to approve change order number 1 to the new Siemens Center building project with Cubco Construction, Inc. of Brownsville, Texas, and authorize of this change order number 1.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I'd request that you table this item, allow our team to review the submittals by the contractor and sit down and with the contractor and
Were you here for
essentially
that,
have,
Commissioner? As to what? Eddie, you want to fill him in
yeah,
real quick?
I'll go over what the deal is, but essentially what's happened there is that when the contractor began construction, if you saw in the report when they did the foundation for the vestibule and then cutting out for the tower, discovered that essentially the walls are not secure to the foundation.
Yeah.
And so they went in and kind of checked. You saw those holes where they went in and checked that, what essentially would be the east wall, and found that there are no footings that secure the walls to the foundation.
And then, so to be able to get windstorm insurance,
Well,
we have-
one is, under the current code, that's just simply not going to fly, and of course, we have to meet code to be able to get the building insured and all the things that are necessary. When we found that out and Mr. Reese was informed, he sent his structural engineer out to take a look at it. They proposed a couple of fixes. One fix is to go and repair the walls and to actually do what is necessary to put in
secure
footings
that.
to secure the site. Another one would simply be
Knock it
to
down.
redo the walls, tear it down and rebuild new walls. The contractor has submitted prices. I believe our architect feels that there needs to be discussion, review of how those prices were arrived on, essentially, and sit down with the contractor and determine that the port is going to be receiving a fair price for the work that needs to be done. It just simply hasn't had that time to do so. So we're asking is just simply to go ahead and table it. We'll have an opportunity to sit down, negotiate that out, and at the point where ready is either bring it back to the commission. We'll ask you whether we want to do a special meeting to deal with it, or given the nature of the discussions, negotiations, we simply delay it to our next commission meeting. But having all the information and sitting down with the contractor, not at the point where ready to make a recommendation on his behalf. So
Now, if we don't reach to an agreement, Mr. Campirano, would we go to a new bid? Because
well, I guess the remedy would be to look at the contract and determine, whether you want a new contractor or not, and then determine what those costs would be. I don't think we're talking about doing anything of that. I think we're simply talking about being able to look at the backup information. The contractor is required to provide how they arrived at those figures, and that information hasn't been provided. So just sit down. I don't think any one of us expect to kind of reach that point. However, if it was looking like that, we would certainly, I would let you know well ahead of time of any action that would need to be taken, and we would obviously consult with Mr. Renfro on what kind of legal recourse or legal remedy we would have under the contract. But we're not even, that thought hasn't even entered our mind at this point.
I have a feeling that you're going to work it all out and
Well,
get it at a reasonable price. And
I can tell you that the architect is a very conscientious architect, and I think he heard you all loud and clear when this award was contracted, that you expect that we don't have a problem investing in what is necessary to build that building, as long as it's fair and all concerned can live with it. So
I guess we were pretty fortunate when Joe and his team were in there demolishing things, but the walls just didn't start
fall down on
them.
Well, they also went through 3 or 4 hurricanes.
The walls won't fall down easily.
Yeah.
They've been up there for about 60 years.
60, yeah.
And it's also a structure that's a box. If you had to knock down 3 walls and had one, that might be a different story.
I believe because of all the codes now.
The other thing too is that if we do go the route of rebuilding the walls, and we would do the demolition to save money. Joe's guys are itching to go. I mean, they're ready. The bug bit them, and so tearing down buildings is a lot of fun. Ready to go.
So we would find out
on
in the next.
Mr. Chavez's pictures that they were already doing a cement foundation. Are they going to stop construction until he gets the prices?
That's kind of one of the issues that we'll bring to you. I mean, if we can get this resolved quickly, and we'll check with you about, let's bring this and deal with it. We don't want to delay it any longer than we have to. We will tell you that, the contractor has already asked for a time extension because of this situation. That only adds to the completion date. So at this point, we'll know fairly quickly from the architect on what his recommendation will be.
Did we have any penalty in that contract?
Well, there's liquidated damages beyond the point, but nobody contemplated this situation. Right. So in addition to the work associated with repairs, there's also an extension of time to complete those repairs that would be part of the change order.
Okay, so we need a motion to table
So moved.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion and seconded, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Item number 9, adjournment to executive session.
One item, Mr. Chairman.
One item, okay. Waited as long as we could, Carlos. All you missed was the intern.